after the recent ban by the federal government of Nigerians from using the app called Twitter, there has been a lot of uproar, but this is a question that people need to answer because it is something that needs an answer, not just for Nigerians alone, but also for the world. Considering the fact that Nigeria is one of the toppest when it comes to population on these apps. And that is why we are asking people, do you think that locally made apps should be encouraged by this? Because, for example, Paystack didn't allow Nigerians to use its platforms, and that was when Flutterwaves and the likes of PayPal came into existence. And guess what? They are worth millions of dollars now. Should that be a wake-up call for locally made apps that can contest with the likes of Twitter to come up? Or you think, no, Nigeria is not ready for that yet? Mojisola Talks, we're on the street to hear the voice of people, and that is why it is called Vox Pop. 774 NGR is the platform. Make sure you stay tuned because people will tell you what they feel and you definitely want to hear it.
Well, for every country that tends to develop its society, giving the local brands the competing power to be able to project themselves around the world is one of the ways to make them viable for local consumption and international consumption.
Okay. So now, your own personal thoughts. Do you think? Let's give an example: the Crowey and the Twitter app. Do you think that Nigerian government banning Twitter should make more apps like Crowey should come up, or you think the banning is not just worth it?
The banning is not worth it. Before you can think of banning a particular item or commodity or entity, you must have created your own commodity or corporation that is strong enough to substitute the one every other person is using, or that you create it to compete side by side, and then the market competition will determine whether they will be able to sustain themselves and stay or outwit the existing one. So you don't just ban something to create another thing. You must have created it, give it time to grow, and then to be able to compete locally and internationally before you can displace the existing one.
Okay, your own thoughts. Will you patronize Crowey or patronize Twitter? Which will you go for?
Well, as an individual, I want to speak. I look at the two brands, the one that have a higher reach, a better reach, a deeper reach. And so if I'm looking in terms of deeper reach and higher reach as to the global environment, I'll prefer to stay on Twitter because it has a global reach. Though I've not been on Crowey, so I cannot tell how far, but I want to believe that it has not gone far because I've never seen anybody from elsewhere talking about Crowey, like someone from Uganda, Kenya, Ghana will talk about Twitter. So the world is a global community, and you want to, whether you have a product to sell or a brand to push, you believe the platform for you to push it is the one that have a bigger reach to the outside world than within your environment. So in that sense, I would say I would prefer to be on Twitter than Crowey.
Yeah, I think it's time for Nigeria to get to use local apps so as to make Nigeria a better place. Sometimes if you use all those Twitter, I think the president did the right thing by banning Twitter so as to make others to see the benefits of the locally made apps that have been placed across here.
Okay, now do you think that there might be a lot of manipulations, considering the fact that if the government can control it, people might not have freedom of speech, might not be able to say some things that they cannot, they can be restricted in some way?
Yeah. Locally made apps, they are this time governed by the governor, the owner of the city, but all those other apps around like Twitter, they are governed by like a body. So I think using a locally made app, they are going to be like little, they won't be like abused, like insult, like all those things that will make the government, the people see the bad image of the country. So I think that's the right choice.
For you, which will you go for between, let's say, Twitter and Crow? Which will you go for?
I would prefer going for Crow.
Crow. Why will you go for Crow?
Because I think it's high time Nigeria makes something of itself.
It is not a thing of whether we are ready or not.
Okay.
It is the value that is being given and how you are able to express yourself without being restricted. So you are talking about Crow, talking about Twitter. How do you trust this company? Do you trust Twitter with your information? Do you trust Crow with your information? What are the data being collected? And what are the permission being given? So these things are to be considered. It goes beyond just looking at this thing being local or being international. So when you look at it, how much of government influence can be on a particular app or the other? So before using an app, and again, it depends on what you are using it for. If you are disseminating information, you look at the audience on a particular app.
Okay.
How many people are using it? In your sphere of influence, how many people do we have using it? So a lot of things are going to be put into consideration. So it's not just a matter of whether we are talking about Twitter, talking about Facebook, or any locally made app.
So now I really want to have your thoughts. When it comes to matching to that standard, do you think Nigeria should really focus on having the locally made apps so that it can generate more funds for us? Or we should still look out and patronize more of the international ones and chill until we're able to match up to that standard?
Okay, like I said earlier, if you are talking about locally made app in the sense of generating fund for us, yeah, I think that's very good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. But you are not going to trade that for your freedom.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes when you look at it, sometimes you see some people trying to bring in food from abroad, while some want to eat local. Sometimes it's an argument between take for instance, bringing in beef from outside Nigeria sometimes can be cheaper than the beef you get here.
Yes, in Nigeria.
And sometimes can be more hygienic than the one we produce locally. Then sometimes it can go down to are we generating employment? Are we patronizing local? But you have to look at it first from the point of how is this thing affecting me health-wise, psychologically, physically, my freedom and the likes. So there are a whole lot of things that you put into consideration before deciding. But if you are looking at the perspective of we trying to do something locally, yes, we have the population and we have all these things on our side. And as we have this population, our economy can also grow. If you look at it in 1979, do you know the economy of China was lower than that of Italy? But when they annexed their economy and the people ruling them have the thought of their people at heart, trying to take them out of poverty. So when you take out your population out of poverty, you are actually going to help the economy grow and you are going to be stronger in every sphere.
No, that's a bad opinion for Nigeria to do that. Like me now, I do get my customers from Twitter, but now my customers have been reducing ever since then, since Buhari has banned Nigeria. I think we don't have VPN. I will have lost a lot of customers by now. So Buhari doing that, I don't think he's alright with himself.
Okay. Now, let us look at the good side of it. Look, that's the negative side. Do you think there's any good side to this banning?
No, I don't think how could you say that is good? No, it isn't good at all. At all. I hope Twitter comes back again.
Okay.
I hope.
So even if Twitter does not come back, you're not going for Crow?
I would rather leave Nigeria if Twitter is not coming back again.
Please take me along. Thank you very much. Okay, you already heard him, and that is where we get to have it and call it a wrap. The question remains, should we patronize locally made apps when it comes to Nigeria? Because see, we have the population and we have the brains, because youths are very, very innovative, and we have a lot of examples to set for that. My name is Mojisola Talks, and I want to hear from you too. So why don't you comment under this video? Tell me what you think about this locally made apps being patronized by Nigerians. And then I'll see you again, 774 NGR. Make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. If you're not doing that, you are so wrong. So go right your wrong right now and follow us. I'll see you again. Bye bye.